I'm still happy to share Mount Nogan.
Okay. Hi, Kimberly. Same for you. I see your system's unstable. That's fine. Keep your camera off just so you can stay here so you don't go away. I may turn mine off when Joe is starting to talk, but we like to see everybody's face, so we can at least put a name with a face, even if it's for a second. But if you have a bandwidth problem, it's understandable.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's I'm lucky to have gotten to this, so I'm gonna do my best through all of it. And if I get dropped off, I'll try to get back on. So thank you for your understanding. I do appreciate it. Glad to be with you all.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Bobby. Glad you made it.
Is that Chief Bobby?
It is.
Wow. Very good. Welcome. While we still have a few more minutes, I'll let everybody know who's here on time and in our 5-minute zone caveat area. We're going to just go over 5 parts. There's a lot to this progress outline. And this is a recording. So just so everybody knows, this is the month, or the end of this month, we'll run this up to the Federation as part of our official progress. But it's great to kind of integrate this ahead of time so that everybody can, kindly participate. And it will be this week and the other 2 remaining weeks or days for our training. So, but tonight we'll go over 5 parts, but you'll notice there's quite a bit to the outline. And I don't know if we can send the outline out, Kathy. It's an editable link. I guess we can.
Let me see if I can put it in the chat. Right now I'm putting in there, I just copied this, where we have our replays of these meetings. So that's what I just entered now. It's a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. We have a 2 links to share.
I'll put the agenda in there right now.
Kathy, I have a replay for when the Ohio Assembly Speaker attended Nevada. Is that okay to share?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it went really well. It cut off right at 2 hours exactly. But I just want to make sure. I know some of the assemblies aren't. They haven't gotten to a point where they've even scheduled or even think to need to schedule a meeting. But with the Ohio Assembly, but she's willing, so you guys can know if you have the opportunities to speak with your assembly. And if you are gathering notes as far as detail for your reports, and I'm speaking to the liaisons in the training and aspiring liaisons. So if you're bringing something to your assembly as a report, then by all means, just replay these meetings. Don't feel the need to have to keep taking notes during the training, because we are kind of fast paced here, but just, and we will reiterate this to go over the replays and encourage everybody to now visit our replays, slow them down if need be, which now they're published on YouTube, which is great.
So I just put the agenda that Joe was referring to in the chat. So if anybody wants to grab that.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you everybody for attending. We do have, or we will have, if we don't tonight, we definitely should have other guests besides liaisons in training and aspiring liaison. We want to kind of fit that category and recognize those being the fact that we do have at least one piloting the in-office liaison role, and that's coming out of, I believe it's Arizona. Yes, and Then we have liaisons and training, which would be everyone who is still maintaining their interests and maintaining correspondence with Kathy, myself, and Louise. And then we have those who have completed an enrollment form, but we really haven't heard of them lately. At least I haven't. But that's a lot of things going on across all of the assemblies, so not to worry. All right, so we'll jump right into it. I'll do a little, again, the outline. This isn't necessarily an agenda per se, but it will function as one. And we'll be going over 5 main, or maybe 6 points tonight. And we are going to make space for people to share their current scenarios and what those might mean to you. And, you know, if you have something that you would consider a working scenario, if it's not really to the focus of what a liaison provides, we can go ahead and help calibrate that for you. Not a problem. So I'll just go ahead and do a little bit of reading here. This is what the Federation will receive, right? And they do also have access to these replays, but they will, at the end of this particular outline, it will be the duration of August and the second quarterly report. First quarterly report went out in April. Okay, so Series 1 convened March 2nd. And that was the start of our 7 series training for Series 1. 7 meetings, Series 1 training. And then the current introduction and training series layout remains structured for 7 meetings. We wanted to do that so that we can have kind of a balanced 3 series iterations per year with two administrative leave breaks in between. And today will be the 9th official meeting, but we really don't have access to the first 2 meetings. However, we do have a mechanized tutorial on our UGE platform, so you can kind of see that, and we followed that presentation the most of the way through the presentation, so you can go see that. So really only missing one, and it's not retrievable, unfortunately. Okay, and this meeting will also facilitate our quarterly report for the Federation, as I mentioned earlier. Where this project is for training, this is familiarity, utilization, exercises, participation rate, operation, and scheduling. We're going to talk about utilized exercises today. And as I mentioned earlier, also August 31st, which is the end of this month, which is the last meeting for August also. Okay. And now we closed out, let's see here, I'm sorry. Yeah, we actually closed out on the 25th. We opened up on March 2nd, closed May 25th. This is also a reflection of the first closeout outline. And so these are the details regarding what took place then and what has improved since once we returned to training. We improved accessibility for all available training meeting replays with improved meeting platform bandwidth, storage capacity, and subsequent camera use periodically during the training meetings. We want to be able to do this again because until we're kind of on top of how many liaisons are here and differentiating them between other guests, special guests, guests of interest, we want to be able to decipher between those 2 groups at some point. You know, I like the camera on. We may even have guests from the state of state, and we welcome them with open arms, and we don't even shy away from their presence. But we want to be able to tell who is here and is actively pursuing what the Peacekeeping Task Force is offering regarding assembly liaison structure. Okay. We also improved website design, training materials, and correspondence materials additions. Training materials additions are expected to be accomplished between all administrative leave periods. All of the updates and everything that we intend to update, we provide that during the closeout portion of our training. Let's see. Okay, so the theme for this evening, and again, I'm being more slow, just for the sake of the fact that we are pretty fast paced usually. So, and I want to give everybody the opportunity, whatever scenarios might mean to you. This is kind of how we're attempting to gauge everybody's comprehension of what the assembly liaison role is. But for the rest of this month, most assuredly, we're going to talk about scenarios based on what you perceive. Whether if it's largely absent in your assembly, that's okay. But just know that the assembly liaison's focus is on their assembly militia, and more focused on their assembly militia is that regarding state border defense. Okay. Let me see here. So, and just go ahead and read this for a moment. I'll bring it to the top. Pardon me. Cough, cough. Any questions about what we're asking for here? Kind of opening up the floor to everybody who would like to share their comprehension of what these scenarios are about. Don't worry, we'll help you along, but go ahead, and if you have a concern about what's taking place or an interest, something that's in your assembly militia, go ahead at this time. Or at some point to manifest from your assembly militia.
Is everybody able to see that and read it? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So no one has anything to participate or contribute in participating as far as your what you perceive taking place within your militia, assembly militia? Don't be shy. How many do we have here that's our liaisons? Let's see here, Kathy.
Well,
Or how
some
many
people
do
are
we have?
guests. There's 13 minus you, so there's 10 people minus us. You're listed. Are you still listed twice, Joe?
Yes. Mhm.
No, see the, oh, I see the other one. Okay, so there's 10.
Okay. So those who let me reword this. Anybody who's completed an enrollment form, go ahead and share your aspirations, your expectations, your hopes, your anticipations on what's taking place. That's probably the better way to ask this question from you, as liaison. What do you perceive taking place within your assembly militia?
Right, Kimberly.
Thank you. Good evening. I am reporting on Michigan, and at this point, we have just come back into our latest incarnation, and our final before we stand is what we're manifesting. And we at this point are not really at the point of getting past the General Assembly part of it. We don't have our militia pillar. We have it obviously in sights, but we don't have anything that is really firmly developing with that at the moment. We're sort of in the really infancy of getting ourselves going at the very basic level GA. Definitely a lot of interest among the GA members, and the things that come with the militia duties and so forth. But I think a lot of us are trying to just hold our reins and make sure that we're getting our base built properly in the GA and getting our committees built out that way. So as far as the militia on Michigan, that's what I can report to. If there's other things going on that I don't know, I don't know and I can't report yet. So that's what I can offer so far. Is that what you needed, Joe?
Perfect, Kimberly. Thanks for priming the conversation with that. Yeah, that's what, again, so if just like Kimberly illustrated, if there's nothing to report, go ahead and announce that as well. And that's perfectly okay if that's the case.
Thank you. I yield.
All right. Anyone else?
Good evening.
You go ahead.
Thank you. This is Farley Johnson on Pennsylvania. Our militia is continuing to work on emergency calls, a call chain, so that should a natural or existing emergency happen within the state, we have a call bank so that our members are told what is going to be happening within the state and how we can help out. We also have food banks moved throughout the state. We're trying to work within 6 quadrants of the state for emergency rations. We also have clothing that has been donated and being held in one location that's being moved through the state should we have need for clothing for people. In addition to which, we're continuing to work with our members for ham radio operators. We are going to have a backbone down the center of the state, basically with 50-watt ham radios going to lower wattage units throughout the areas where we, again, will make a chain to be able to contact with everybody should there be a down of the system. Some of our other members have invested in satellite communications units that link to their telephones. So we have recording or messaging capabilities with those. So we're moving right along. Yield.
Thank you, Farley. Is this Farley?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's great to know. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll speak.
Yep. Sure.
It's Cheryl on Virginia. I'm kind of a bit disheveled right now, so forgive me for not being highly focused. And I came in 8 minutes late and missed everything important right before.
No, not really, Cheryl. Not really, because we hold off for 5 minutes before we actually start.
Oh, sweet. Okay, well, on Virginia, we've got Steve Just, who's wearing many hats. He's our state sheriff. He's heading up the PKTF and doing 100 other things. So he's helping create our manuals, and we're working on a loss of comm plan and rally points. Is this the kind of thing you're looking for right now with what we're doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And then let's see, God, there's so much. He's working with our marshal at arms. They're creating all kinds of manuals and things. And thankfully our Steve is a retired Navy SEAL. So he's got, and while we don't want all of that, I realize he's got a good balance with law for mankind as well, kind of thinking. So we do twice a year, we try and get together in essay and do assembly business. And within that, we've done like firearms training and CPR training. We're doing that coming up in October. If anybody's in North Carolina, we're going to be right at the border in Danville. If you guys want to come up and spend the day with us, just putting that out there real quick. October 20th, likely. But anyway, sorry. And then let's see. So yeah, we're gonna have some training and some booths set up there. We have herbalists. We've done things on bartering. So we're tiny. We are a tiny little group of like 8 people doing everything. And the most important piece is Steve and I have done some great scribing of our documents together. So he and I are working on, we have a ton, basically Virginia's one big and forgive me for speaking for so long. Virginia's basically one big military base. So we have a bunch of militias, large militias on Virginia. So I've been harping on the people of Virginia for several months now that we need to reach the hearts of these people and educate them. So Steve and I are very slowly creating something to inform and invite the people our way through a militia, basically a notice to these militias, how they're operating, and how they could be operating. and we've had discussions, and then I'll yield, about how we could maybe, because they're very large, well-organized militias here on Virginia, but they're not declared Americans. So could we utilize them in a catastrophe type thing? Could we give them a heads up now, say, even though you're operating in this jurisdiction, something were to come upon the people, we may call upon you. So that's kind of where Virginia is, and with that, I yield, and thank you so much. I can be long-winded, and I yield.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. I just want to kind of clarify the people that you know on Virginia as militia enthusiasts, I would say. They're not really,
I know.
they would be, no, I would say that they're not, they may be regulated, which means equipped to some degree, maybe not well regulated, but they're unorganized in the sense that they're not part of their assembly or part of any assembly.
That's what we
So
want to inform them of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. So that was Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Virginia in that order. Anyone else?
Yes, Joe Mark on Victoria.
Go ahead, Mark.
Just the thing to report from Victoria is there's been a gradual forming of our assemblies. We have a general assembly running. We now have a jural and a militia assembly and an international business assembly forming. There is a move here to run a thing called a police education tour. And I'm actually hoping to introduce Lewis's work that's being coordinated here, because I do see some risks to people by, what's the right word? The approach is to go into the police stations and over the counter educate them. And I do see that there are some potential risks there. So looking forward to helping with Lewis's work coming under the PKTF. I yield.
Thank you, Mark. So we have one of our foreign state assemblies. That's great. That's always great. I hope to have more of updates from those as well. And we'll also touch upon that in addition to tonight. We'll have time to talk about that regarding state assembly, American state and foreign state assemblies. Anybody? Thank you, Mark. Anybody else? Roger? Perhaps?
Roger's having bandwidth issues, so he
Okay.
dropped off. He's going to try and come back in.
Okay. I am recognizing everyone else, so I think we can pause there. But thanks everybody for your contributions to the discussion here. So we will talk about, and again, these are separate. These are in addition to the points, but the four main points, we want to kind of help everybody along. Add to what you're working on with what you see today and for the rest of the month. And then we'll tie it, we'll continue to tie things together in a kind of a tether fashion. And all of the meetings will combined, will all kind of, conclude everything that we're doing from one series to the next. Everything as far as repetitiveness, that's how you build perfection. Perfect practice makes perfect, which is to say nothing's perfect, but continue to practice. Okay. So that's the idea. But these 4 points, and with your scenarios, we're going to touch upon the priority need for alternative communication and the equipment. We do have somebody, special guest and veteran of peacekeeping with us. Bobby, you want to go ahead and share a little bit, just a little bit? I don't want to put you on the spot there. I don't mean to. I guess I did put him on the spot. Sorry about it. Well, not to worry. There will be more to follow on this. It's
You
kind of a
guys hear me?
surprise. Go ahead, Bobby. Yes.
Hello? Yeah, sorry about that. I'm working with one arm here. I just had a surgery, so I'm a little slow. Keep in mind. What exactly you want to touch on, boss?
Just the idea. Well, what's your professional opinion regarding communication. If you had to prioritize 5 things, or let's just say 4 things, just to make it even less of an opportunity, where would you place communication if you had only 4 things to take with you? I guess in the field, away from your urban environment, your home. If you had to leave, what would be among the top list of 4 things?
All right, so I mean, this could be broken down, but generally, you got to communicate. You got to communicate. You got to be able to do that to move. So for an operation the size of what we're involved in, it's feasible to get away with some digital radios over a DMR system with already connected repeaters. Just working off GMRS channels. Specifically GMRS because it's the most accessible and there's so many radios available for the mud hitting the fan situations by using GMRS. And you can just use GMRS radios, like the gentleman was just on talking about the 50-watt radios. You can use those radios as repeaters up and down the state 100%. So when you want to come out, you generally want to have at least a digital radio, analog radio, capable of ham, VHF 133 to 143 UHF, and specifically GMRS channels for that, to use existing repeaters. So besides that, that's great for local stuff. Besides cell phone networks, and as long as the grid is up, there's actually a system in place as we speak for worldwide communication through PKTF and Marshal Service and whoever else we need to be in contact with. It's in a beta stage right now. It's fully operational. It's being distributed as we speak. Supposed, I guess, anywhere from 10 to 15 radios are going to be up and running within the next probably 3 or 4 months as a beta trial. And as far as that goes, as long as that is successful, we'll go on to LTE POC communications that are in sync and instant communication with other GMRS radios. So you can use a ham radio or a GMRS radio, any ham radio or any GMRS radio, and use your regular GMRS channels without a repeater and hook up to a global network and talk to someone from state to state, whatever agency that you want, through that system. There's also a whole bunch of equipment bought for self-initiated repeaters and duplexers and whole different types of radio communications that are basically global through satellite, LTE, and POC communications. I know it's a lot for everybody, but just know that everybody is going to have access to this communication network it's online right now. So,
well, Bobby,
I mean, that's the latest.
Bobby, I do have a question sorry, I have a question. What about Family Radio Service or FRS? These are the typical handhelds that people have.
And honestly, so with things like that, is if you're backcountry, you're in the mountains, FRS is fine. A 2-watt FRS line of sight doesn't have a problem 6 to 10 miles. At a 2-watt, just something you could pick up at like Home Depot or Walmart, Cobra, things like that, they're really good. However, for something that we need them for, it doesn't allow GPS positioning. We want all our guys knowing where all our guys are. It doesn't have immediate SOS, but they can too, as well, be included into this system. For
That's what I was asking.
The way it's designed, yes, FRS radios can communicate globally with the system that we chose to test.
So what you're announcing is, if I can add this, and everybody, your external peacekeeping land and sea jurisdiction service providers it sounds like they're offering mobile base station type radios. I mean, I don't want you to have to try to explain more on that. It is a lot for some people, but what you're saying is even FRS radios and the GMRS radios, which is a little larger with as far as detail goes, they'll be able to access that network and access somebody monitoring that system. That I don't know if you want to call it a sideband or what. I mean, and
Yeah,
can
so in essence, just to shorten it up, what Joe's talking about is like, FRS radios. They're still GMRS radios. They share the same channels. However, their specific tones are different that allows you to make, private groups within all those channels. FRS is limited to 2 watts, okay, on UHF. GMRS are the same frequencies. However, you're supposed to use a license for them. FCC doesn't really care about too much. As long as you're not interfering with another commercial license, they kind of let you go with that. However, to get a license, you pay like $20 and it's good for 10 years and it's good for immediate family members.
right,
Um,
right. But what about
so
Citizen
even
Band, which is 4 watts?
so yeah, well, Citizen Band is good for like just car to car. However, like, it's not codable, you know. You can't
Mm.
set it
But it
has
can
its
be
limits.
monitored.
Oh,
Yeah,
100% could
but
be monitored. Yes.
okay, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess what you're saying, Bobby, is your land and sea jurisdiction peacekeepers external to your assembly is setting up a system where you should be able to reach them in a degraded communications scenario, which is another scenario. That's what we're talking.
Absolutely,
Is that kind of
100%. So the only limitations that it has right now is the the 50,000 kilometer distance that these things reach, which is, around the world, is only good if the system's up. So because they need cellular to communicate. However,
right?
within the same radio, you have UHF bands that are able to get on something called Smart PTT, which is a DMR network that's globally synced, similar, but it can be used when there's no cellular service. So we don't have that part set up yet because it has to be done step by step. We got to get the kinks out of the working system first before we go to, crap hits the fan situations. Let's get something working now, and then we could deal
Mhm.
with Stone Age stuff because everybody has Stone Age stuff. Make sense?
Okay, so I got my last question would be, thank you for all of that. That's great. My first 5.5 years in the military was Signal Corps, as you know, so that's really great. And we don't have to deal with multi-channel, multiplexer, Singars radios. Forget that.
So yeah, so
But
another thing in comparison to that is it's not set up yet, but the newer models coming out, there's going to be a dedicated channel to how do I put this? Whatever service you are part of, instantaneous talk to you back set of regulations or standing orders. So if you're unclear about jurisdiction, you're talking to the mic and you get basically a co-pilot or a GPT set up just for your communications to answer all the questions your personnel might need in the field real time, just by communicating whatever LLM, large language model, that you set up just for that system. So you're basically going to have your own instantaneous answers to questions about, what do I do in this procedure? What happens if, this guy's a citizen, but he's on American property and he hurts another citizen, or if he hurts an
right,
American on territorial property, so it'll be instantaneous answers to all those questions in real time
right.
context, so you could just say, hey, listen, I need this situation. And then the radio is just going to call for you and just get that person on the radio. I mean, this isn't, it works, but that's how it's eventually going to be planned to be.
And that's just a taste. So it's great.
That's just
Great.
scratching the
So my
surface.
other,
Yeah.
so my other question would be then, what's the second most important thing to you if you was to leave your environment? What would you, besides communication, what would be?
Besides
Water.
any kind of technical communication, you have to know your area. You have to know the people in your area. you know, unfortunately for Nevada, I've been with the marshals for a long time now, so I haven't really been able to, do what I do in Nevada. However, I'm very close with the sheriff and things like that, and the contacts that I had to draw into Nevada, they're all active in their selected fields of combating fuckery. Okay, so they can't just quit their jobs and start doing this for free. So once the wall breaks, Nevada's got plenty of militia. It's just say the word in there, So if something were to happen right now in Nevada with the contact I have as sheriff, he's also been in the private VIP special ops field, especially with the private clientele that come through Nevada, like the high dollar people as their VIP personal protection go-to. He's got the connections where even if they were not part of our assembly, that we would just have to make a call and he would just basically deputize who he needs to deputize to at least secure Southern Nevada and Clark County. So
just so everybody knows, Bobby, you are East Coast law enforcement, correct? Massachusetts.
where do I start? Where do I start?
No, you don't have to do that. Just want
right? Yeah. I was a well, start the beginning of it was Baltimore City Special Operations. I was a SWAT sniper, amphibious underwater assaulter, and I did contract work out of the Maritime Institute of Technology as part of a development group, distributing underwater delivery devices to law enforcement and federal agencies who have seaport and navigable water, the whole fucking thing. So, yeah. Oh, excuse me, guys. I get excited. So
that's what I got. That's kind of what
so
I was
yeah,
about to
that's
do
my
there, Robbie.
background.
But
yeah, that's my background.
Yeah, he's very seasoned law enforcement, and some of the street communications comes out, and that's great. That's why we adore you, man.
And also, I have over 3 years on the federal task force as a sniper, involved with Secret Service. So all this shit going on now. Enough said.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and also Bobby's assistant other private donors, and we'll talk a little bit about that as far as that as an opportunity for all of our liaisons, you here and others who will listen in later. And we are going to go over some of that today. All right, moving forward here. So again, yes, communication. Go ahead.
I have a question. So does each individual assembly, are they in charge of teaching this and sharing all this to their assemblies? Like the radios, because that was pretty foreign to me, what he was going on about. I was taking notes.
No, that will be inside of your assembly spectrum, your assembly militia spectrum. The liaisons are not here or there in their assembly to teach really anything. They're there to focus on that interface and perfecting that interface, which is the receiving end of that interface is to the assembly's law enforcement. So they're law enforcement, state and local law enforcement. They're building that bridge and maintaining that professional distance so that their state law enforcement can engage the assembly again at a safe distance. But the liaisons you guys here are not, that's not your job description to teach anything. You're really learning and then opening up that avenue for local and state law enforcement, state law enforcement to learn themselves. So.
Right. I didn't actually mean the liaisons teaching this. I meant someone within even PKTF to facilitate a class. But I guess if each state, I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that that's been taught in my area. I'll go back and look at the assembly, but I'm not sure if there's anybody that's teaching people this. So I thought if we can facilitate a class, but
right.
Okay.
Right now, but as far as actually relaying these meetings and the notes from these meetings or from the relays, notes from the relays, yes, this is what your liaisons, you guys are expected at some point, and it's to some degree back to your assembly as part of your reports. And then vice versa. When you get more seasoned with what, the expectation is, you'll build that, again, reciprocity, one way and then the other and vice versa, back to these meetings and share what your assemblies are working on. And we touched on that, seen what it felt
Mhm.
like, heard what it sounded like
Right.
tonight from
Bobby
Michigan.
has his hand up.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I just wanted to, exactly what were you confused?
Bobby, you
No, no.
muted yourself.
There's no confusion, Bobby. It was,
Oh, sorry.
but it was overwhelming, the jargon.
Gotcha. So it was just the jargon about the radio stuff, or was it about what?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the
I got
different
Yeah, the
types.
variation.
Yeah.
Network.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
yield.
Okay, great. So then again, this is just things that we're talking about today. There's no particular order, but they do assist 1 to 2, 3, then 4. But along with communications and equipment, this is now we're moving into if you were to familiarize yourself with having a radio, also in addition to your handheld devices, something that you would have, or at the very least, your assembly militia command, field command would have. And you would learn these. You would become familiar with these functions. Okay, that's kind of what we're talking about. Now we'll move into. We'll be discussing expected augmentation to service attire. Now this is what we're talking about. I'll switch the screen here, and we'll finish out these last 3 points. We want to talk about service attire. So I'm going to go to this website. Just a second. I have a separate screen to help me. Let's see. I'm going to have to stop screen sharing and screen share again. Yeah. Well, I was able to. I want to back up just a little bit and show everybody the assembly validation. Now, we do have somebody from Ohio. So this is for you, Ohio. This is now the updated under campaigns, which we're running 2 separate campaigns that runs alongside the state assembly, which is under states. We click states, but we are running assembly liaison and ex parte Milligan. I'll go to assembly liaison, which is us, in a moment, but this is just updated. So as far as assemblies go, and at any degree, this gives a really great temperature gauge on where our assemblies are in all 50 states. Okay, just a little tip here, you'll see 50 dashes all across the top. When you get to the first one, you'll be able to access the Ohio assembly. One little dash. It's kind of a little clever little addition to that, so you know. But now what we have here and what is described here in the color code configuration, you'll have states that are working, of course, but where are the other states beyond working to where they kind of make a pivotal transition? Any assemblies that have either, as the code relays, current state assemblies that are reporting nearing or entering into discussions for various committee developments for state citizen office elections. And this is what we're going off of. Screen went out. We're going off of office election publications. This is really the only way that the Federation can actively engage and approximate where the assemblies are. Okay, so code, if we want to entertain the gaugings, code will be blue, it's kind of where the assemblies are, and that's fine. If you want to move into something a little more, that we described the silver aspect and the gold aspect. So the only assembly that's actually made it so far to seatment meets all of the above parameters. And that you can read this here. We won't go over it, but you can read that. As of last week or 2 weeks ago, this page had only had this map and nothing above or below it. So now we have where you can actually, sharpen your perspective on what exactly this campaign is all about. We had 2% as part of the 100% to the entire state, the entire continental United States. So this would be 2% for Ohio, 1% for each one that is nearing and has reported nearing or entering into discussions for state assembly, state citizen officer elections. And that would be a total of 8%. Just in case you want to know as far as the percentage goes on this graph. And then we're building out the directory to where you can see where each on our reports calendar, any state that is gold, as you see here, and then you can go, if they're not, whatever is finalized, you click this on this map on this page. It'll take you to our blog, which is very functional. Just give it a moment. It may populate faster for you, but it'll give you an update. We've isolated a calendar update and we're tracking this. And everything you find on that webpage that we're just at, you'll be able to know completely where this any one particular assembly is in their process. Now, we're waiting for the Ohio Assembly Militia to complete their final validation process, and explains here, as we go. So you can just read that and see where they are. Okay. Okay, that's this. Where was I going? See here. Okay, now this is something that was added as well. I'm a big fan of showing website updates because, again, and this is part of the 6 points I wanted to talk to everyone here about. You want to get, as liaisons, even foreign states, this is great for you, because if you're fashioning your peacekeeping apparatus on your, like for instance, Australia, any country, okay, you want to build maximum exposure. That's what you're going for. So we absolutely take everything that you see here as a model, and we even recognize foreign state assemblies. We offer counseling, so this is for your benefit as well. Okay. In more ways than one, and we'll talk about that. So as far as credential goes, or attire, which is on our outline, you go to about, go to our team, now to the official liaison credentials and other duty items. These aren't active yet, but we will touch on the notion of building out, investing in yourself, or as a team, investing in the team regarding liaison. This is a map, a flag, I'm sorry. This is a 4x6, so it's quite large for that price. It's just above cost. This is something that each liaison can have, especially on their desk, if anything on their desk. So we'll show that. This is just something to add to your office, in-office presence. And that's kind of a consolation, but it looks really great. And I had to receive mine today. It's quite large. Let me see if this changes. I wanted to show this screen instead of going into now you can see where it is on the website with regarding to attire. Now this is a really impressive addition. What this does is for those who are tracking the state credential cards and then the upgrades to the cards. This is actually something that protects your credential cards and still validates you as a liaison. This is what in the military would call a common access card. There's no chip in this. You don't need it to access doors or computers, but you definitely want to have this and to keep your credentials securely on you while still displaying a access card. Okay, so this is something that you would wear on either around your neck or clip to your lapel. Anybody can scan this and get back to the PKTF site regarding our directories, and can confirm who's who when they're in the office. And you can have this even if you don't attend an office regularly, or if you do not yet have an office. It's really great to have because it ties you to your own credential card. Any questions with this? I get a lot of questions about this. Exciting questions. And I just use the Ohio Assembly as an example. Any questions?
This is Rich on Illinois, may I?
Sure.
Quick question. What is the site that the QR code goes to? I'm on my phone. I have a hard time seeing what that says underneath it. I yield.
Yes, it will go to a directory under the editors or the it'll be found under the editorial section, but then that section will have a team section for office liaisons. But this is being displayed as a field liaison or a liaison that's actually going to an office. They're physically able to go to an office, and so they've been dedicated to that office. Some people within your assembly, especially if you're working in a group of 3, the other 2 may not be able to or have no intention of because they don't feel adequate. I don't know. So they'll maintain assembly presence purely. Still, they would maybe want to have one of these cards in case they join the field liaison at the office, you know? So it's just one of those things. And this is, we're expressing a tire. I think to answer your question though, this takes them back to the PKTF site, a site that anybody can scan right there. Anybody of any influence or need to know can scan that card and they'll be able to pull up the person's or the man or woman's credentials. Or at least, I'm sorry, not credentials. Their listing as part of the assembly roster, liaison roster. Okay. You have an expiration date that's on the far right side. There's no need for an address or byline autograph. This is the front and back. Okay. So there's that. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right. And then we have, last but not least, we have your office address, now office business card. This has been already provided, completed, and scannable. Later on, we'll talk about the need for, or the practical need for a link tree in addition to your front and back of your business card. But what we're talking about is what things can be purchased. And the reason why they're purchased is because this is an opportunity for liaisons to invest in their participation. And it's been my experience so far that when you invest in yourself and others see that, they in turn would like to invest. What I mean by invest is, take the time to see what you have, weigh the odds, and just invest. If you have $30, $40, $50, whatever, $100 for something, or budget it and plan for the future and build that into your exposure as in working in this role. But we'll add more information as we go. The only thing I don't have at this point is the access credential badge, but I will have that soon, so I can show everybody. I do have, like say, have the flag 4x6. I don't recommend one quite that large, but because they're large. And I do have these. That was that. Let me go to, you gotta keep toggling back and forth here. Question? It's like somebody's typing. Okay. I want to share what the Ohio Assembly, and after I share this, I'll actually share the link to what the Ohio Assembly speaker provided to the Nevada Assembly in its complete in its duration, which is again 2 hours, and it did cut off. The presentation was well completed, but then they moved into Q&A, and after not too long after that, then the meeting concluded. But you can have the opportunity, and Kathy says it's fine to have that recording. I've also witnessed the Ohio speaker's presentation. It's very great. It's thorough. It's great. Well received by all of the assemblies that's been in attendance so far. But here is where your liaisons are in your assembly, whether you're aware of it or oblivious to it or not. This is where you'll find yourself in your assembly. And it's convenient because now there's 3 points into the assembly. And if you work as a team here, as you see, your point of origin into your assembly, besides being a member of yourself, is in with the assembly militia. And the assembly militia, state and local, are special purpose committees, which means they're not, if you'll notice these kind of touch points, interaction points, there's not a whole lot going on at the state and local level except with themselves, at least in the perspective of the assembly militia themselves, which is fitting, and it's conducive with what a limited contact special purpose committee is. But as being all committees, and you see how they start bridging out and sponsoring their local assemblies, county assemblies, when you see the relationship between them. So if there's somebody here and you're by yourself, and let's just back up a little bit, I have a suit, power skirt, whatever that, okay, and now I'm seeing where I'm at mainly. And if I'm by myself, I can see that. I can also envision now having in my hand here on my pocket, business card. See on the screen there. And on my lapel or around my neck, I see a credential common access card, which insulates me having to give anybody my credential cards, but also, tethers me to the service I'm providing to the Peacekeeping Task Force, which is great. And maybe even a little flag on your desk, a little, so, but that's where you find yourself by yourself, if you were. And then you have one, maybe 2 others, and you're all 3 working in conjunction. And now you see where your points of contact are. Assembly militia, you find yourself within the outreach committee, which is what Luis is working on right now. It's wonderful. But she can see where the liaisons join her efforts. And we'll talk about that and how that looks as an umbrella fashion. And then you also want to be, so we're aspiring to be a part of the oversight committee, a permanent member. But you kind of have to work towards that because that's a rotating committee. So that's a limited contact committee. And they rotate. I think it's 9 months. People are in that role, maybe less, then they rotate. But then you'll see it, as you'll notice, then you start to see the reflexive portion of the reciprocity from liaisons, which their main focus is the assembly militia. But then you'll see the relationship for external peacekeeping, which is a sheriff. You also see a sponsoring sheriff at the state level, which kind of helps advocate sponsors for county sheriffs who are American state nationals seeking state sponsorship. And this is great. With sponsorship comes also training, equipment, and other avenues of cooperation at the state level. So if anybody was wondering what that meant to have a state at the county, at the state sheriff at the state level, when a county reads, that's what they are. They deal with their county. Now you can see how that is, and you can see the relationship between sheriffs within the assembly militia. Now outreach committee, you'll see where they go to the events committee, so you can be invited, or as far as events goes, now as events can become, you can now see where the GA can offer a relationship and can assist with funding what the liaisons, how they're presenting themselves and where they are to that office, or the General Assembly can cooperate and say, well, you guys have an office. We have 7 people that we would like to get, status corrected, witness. Let's go to the office. There's a conference room there, So you can see how that works, and that's one of the ways the outreach committee works. And then the oversight committee and the ombudsman. So now you came full circle as a liaison, and you've expressed to the limit where you are within your assembly, precisely. And there is no other area. So it's very digestible and decipherable. Any questions with that? going to pick up the pace just a little bit. I don't want to know we have half an hour. Any questions? All right. Question. Okay. Screen share again. Oh. Look at that. Kathy, I think I figured a way to navigate without having the screen share off and on.
That's good. I knew you could do it.
All right, this is a really quick slide presentation. With slide presentations, which is great for the liaisons, if you have an enrollment form, which kind of shows an ongoing building interest and the role of the liaison, those who have an enrollment form and those who have completed their interview process, all of our PowerPoint presentations are for you. Free, they're great for in-office collaboration, all that great stuff. And would be to the extent that you would provide any law enforcement, local or state of state. Okay, and it's just a great training aid. It's a great way to provide a report, which whatever of the various several only committees that you've just seen where you can present your work. But anyway, this is a PowerPoint. We are going to work on this. We're going to be able to express where what the liaison or what the peacekeeping task force offers to your assembly militia. That's a direct and formal advocacy of each state assembly militia and other external peacekeeping services. So your Continental Marshal Service, we have the pleasure of having one right now that's considering a dual special duty. And that was Bobby. And then now you can see where with the presentation. Oh, can you guys see my screen talking on the bottom? That's great.
Yeah, it's annotating.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, and so now you can start to see that relationship and advocacy effort for your county reads and your state sheriff. And but as far as what the peacekeeping task force largely squarely is to see here. This is great. This is as far as this pejorative and its balance. We're going to talk about this PowerPoint presentation is going to build out this aspect. Okay, if you've noticed from the outline, right now we have a notion. I think we have about maybe 10 different what they call quote unquote fact checkers services out there, but we're working on narrowing in on how they operate. We already know what they provide, but they fall into different genres. We know their names and we know where they're getting their education. And we're going to offer yet again another service to the assemblies to completely eviscerate this pejorative sovereign citizen, citizen sovereign, whatever the case may be. But because what we've uncovered so far is that they're masking and they're taking a manufactured offense against the citizen soldiery. That is what we've equated it to this point of what this is. I'm gonna move into the umbrella aspect of just 2 more slides and then, but just know that we're working on this. This presentation will grow and it's
Did we lose you, Joe?
I thought it was me that froze. I think it is him. Yeah, let's give him a second. He'll come on back. While we're waiting for him to come back, if anybody has any suggestions or recommendations for topics we can cover during this training, I think we need to get into some more specifics of duties, but if anybody has anything they want to request, we can do that.
I am returned. Let me turn my camera off.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this is where I left. I think this is where I left off. But just quickly, we have two teams that we're working with. And so as you become more familiar, you'll see this archway as, the executive and assistant directors. It's just us two. And we're cradling this to the ultimate success of this organization. What I mean by that is we want to have repeat service each year. So we're reaching out to not only the assemblies who are rejoining the Union of States, but we're also setting that hope to be setting that bar that, as a measure of influence. And I guess I don't want to call it admiration, but hey, if people on the other assemblies, foreign states, see something that's working and they can add to whatever they see, that's what we're going for. And that's expressed here. But yes, now we have another portion, another team, 2 of 2, with what Louise is working on. And by herself, God bless her, she's by herself, but as far as the management aspect goes, or her campaign for outreach to the assemblies. But we work together in our efforts. The only other difference between these two teams is that the executive director and assistant director, it kind of expands further to include foreign state assemblies. So there's where we are just slightly beyond that of what the management directors offer. Now, once Louise and we all both as teams have an executive secretary, most of the liaisons will actually be working field-wise, training-wise, correspondence-wise through the executive secretary. And the assemblies, the liaisons will evolve into actually meeting with the management directors, not so much at the company level, because we do anticipate moving forward in the coming years, especially with what our affiliate directors, management teams are working on. The thing is, we don't have an executive secretary yet, nor do we have any job description settled at the moment as to but we are working on that as well, and we do need one. Luis, what did you say you're hoping to have? I think by the end of this year, right? Is Luis gone?
By the end of this year, what?
We hope to have an executive secretary.
Oh, yeah, I hope.
Well, yeah, that's what I was. I thought that's what you were hoping for too. Well, before that.
Yeah.
Let me go to I'm going to put something in the chat window here. Going back to the citizen, sovereign citizen. This is where that pejorative is coming from, everybody, just so you know. But I want you to consider watching this video, and I was going to add it, but would be a copyright strike. So put it in the chat. Okay. Let me know when you guys can see that.
It's there, Joe.
All right. Familiar with a Mississippi band named 3 Doors Down? Am I showing my age here? All All right, this is a video that was put together just to kind of show you where our research is taking us. Let me get down here. Kind of take that, put that in, and kind of hold on it a little bit. Don't tear up. Kind of, show a little bit of in yourself the seriousness of what it is to serve your country at the state level. So your National Guard is showcased in this YouTube channel video. From Three Doors Down, the lead singer is Brad Arnold. He was born on Mississippi. We're actually in the, well, at least myself, I'm going to share this with Kathy and Louise. There are foundations that they have, the Better Life Foundation. I don't think Brad has done anything for a while, but that particular All-American band is in great standing. There's been no anything controversial with the band as a whole, but as the band life goes, they've had their ups and downs, and I don't think they've created anything for a while. But we will reach out to them through we're considering to their foundation, and perhaps one day, like they did for the National Guard, which you'll see in this video, they may also do for our state assemblies and create a video much like this. And if you go and try to find out how much that video costs, you can't find it. But we can press the National Guard Bureau maybe and find out what they paid to have that video. It's great. And I can attest to every portion of that you see depicted, except for that Revolutionary War clips that you'll see in there at the beginning, or any storm in Normandy or anything like that. But you'll see, especially towards the end there. But I thought you guys would like that. We'll talk more about that. Will try to get out of the screen. Not screen sharing anymore.
No, you're not.
Checking my notes. Any questions? We still have 20 minutes, but I don't want to know once. Any questions? I think I covered everything. I'm turning my camera back on. Let's see. Yep, I think I covered everything. The 6 points I have. Now, I am screen sharing again. Let me just show you where we're at in this part. We covered attire, along with expected augmentation opportunities. We will discuss in-office placement and state assembly cost procurement opportunities for in-office placement. We won't talk about that yet. Anything that kind of bleeds over, touch a little bit on this opportunity here. We can kind of expound on 3 and 4 next week. But I definitely want to take and meet you guys, all of the liaisons and others who were in attendance this evening for our day 3 on August 17th with scenarios. Anything, like I mentioned from the start, anything that your assembly would like to have, a little more detail on what they have done already, like what Pennsylvania has broken ground with, those kinds of details. And then, yep.
Kimberly has her hand up whenever you're in
Okay.
a good place to break for a second.
Okay, yeah, and then we'll come back with those details and refinements, and then we'll move into this 4th and final. We'll talk about the 3rd and the 4th final. This is a really super great opportunity because of what we're working on over in. One moment, Kimberly. And again, this is a great way to help, be on that cutting edge of what the PKTF is working towards, a way to self-invest and to support naturally without putting yourself into any particular bind necessarily regarding budgets, to really cost-effective way to sponsor yourself and this organization and your assembly all together. So we'll be talking about this aspect too. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Thank you, Joe. To the point you were just mentioning there, I do want to just put it on the table that with regard to Michigan, we have been approached by our treasurer and asking what we had as anticipated budgets for all the different committees and so on. And so with regard to the PKTF, I wanted to be able to give a bit of an honest projection of what we think the liaison role would be asking of the assembly. And I don't know if there are any, I know you've talked about some of these things as things coming, but I don't know if there's actually been any numbers put together by your group of a starting budget to be able to propose and offer a GA. So I'm being asked, and I wanted to be able to, go back with something intelligently to them so they would be able to forecast properly. My second order of business is in relating to vetting. We have been stalled in Michigan with our top players, our treasurer, our vetting committee chair and the state coordinator are being a bit held up with the vetting process, background checks and so on. And again, I don't know all the details, but I just wanted to make mention of that because there's a little frustration and not quite knowing how to go forward. So I wanted to offer
Right.
those.
Well,
Thank you.
Kimberly, I'm glad you reminded me of this. This should have been my 7th point to talk about today. Exactly what you're asking for is precisely what liaisons will perfect. Even this ask that you're putting forward, liaisons can. The Federation of States is offering an unbiased vetting for your base state elected officers. Well, as a liaison, you can go back that very same ask and build momentum from it, from your body politic, and say, we need, or they need continental marshals. So who can stand forward, You see how it kind of, I love the reciprocity in all of this. And the middle ground that reverberates all of this is that it's coming from the liaisons themselves. So just to that point, the marshals are providing that service, but without more participation as marshals, then that is what's causing the stall. So each one of you here can bring that back as part of your talking points for your reports. The Continental Marshals needs someone who can offer that land and sea service, and currently they're working on nationwide vetting. So if there's anybody who would like to help out, even one from 50 states, forget it. That will be the end of that concern, Kimberly. So
Okay, should I take this back to them and then let them know, just proceed? I mean, move forward, don't stall, keep going. And if we, I think that's sort of where we're a little bit, we don't know how to behave as, do we act at this point and keep go?
Yes, that's and that, even to ask that question here, that's kind of a marshal at arms or state coordinator conclusion or search. But even yourself, yes, and because as liaisons, becoming more familiar with these services that are extended beyond your assembly, you can then know or confirm, yes, we can move forward until we receive our interviews through that unbiased platform. But then what is ultimately causing that stalling? The Continental Marshals need liaisons. The Continental Marshals need chiefs to add to their chieftain. That's what the liaison can bring back and then just share that with the assembly. As far as Ohio goes, 88 counties. In this case, there should be one afforded to every county marshal. They need, how many counties do we have? 88. How many deputy continental marshals do we have? 0. Right? Come on, guys, help the system grow.
So
Ohio was a very great example of how that can, or any of the assemblies, actually.
Forgive me, Joe. I was going to ask then with this and taking this back and saying, okay, kind of call it cheerleading for Continental Marshals, as it were, and taking it back to the GA. Is this something that there is any greater and outreach initiative with regard to recruiting for, this? Is there anything that's going on that, is a template that can be put up in every county that is on a local board somewhere that, people can be aware, just even in the general public, that this is something that's being looked for and potentially promote the American, ASN, all of the movement here?
Well, there,
It's like that happening.
I got something on that, Joe.
yes, go ahead.
Bobby on Nevada. It's not finalized yet. It's still very early in beta as well. There's an opportunity to have land and soil unincorporated businesses with recruiting and outreach across all, how do I put this, major AI apps. So it would be apps, any type of AI, like anything from Facebook, anything run by Meta, is gonna be published throughout all their apps. Anything connected to them, is gonna be an opportunity to have PKTF and the assemblies published throughout everything. I mean, from Reddit to all the anything, any type of information app there is, there'll be that opportunity to have this publicized.
Thank you. We can, what you're asking for, Kimberly, also now, what we can do is we can actually build a bulletin board on, or even Luis, this is something that would help garner more support. And Luis is building an entire network on the management aspect. I keep calling them asks, but for lack of a better, that would.
Thank you.
So Kimberly would go at this point, in a 2-minute and a 90-second even report. Okay, we have 82 counties. We have a state continental marshal going through the learning process, and it's set to take the exam in a week. And we have, let's say, 60 counties. Who is interested in also joining this interim state continental marshal as their deputy, so that he and you or whomever can join the continental marshals and assist the entire nation with vetting? And it takes a very small, three to five man or woman team can conduct quite a bit. And that's even if that's from one postal area, which is 4 states. You see the potential here. And if there's 6 of you here, including our foreign state assembly participants, but if there's 6 of you as liaisons here, and by the end of the week or month, I should say, you have now 3 people that are interested. How many is that? 18 potential continental marshals and their deputies together. There is no waiting anymore for vetting. It will be going just like this. But the liaison is the perfect bridge builder. They're even better than your marshal at arms. Actually, there is no. It's just hands down. The liaison is what makes the dream work here for all of these concerns. Because again, they're focused on peacekeeping and expanding peacekeeping. They're not so much focused on internal peacekeeping, because that's already reserved for the marshal at arms and your ombudsman service through their oversight committee. But anything that benefits the inside of the assembly and beyond, that's what the liaisons do. That was longer than 90 seconds, I know. All right, we have 5 more minutes. Any other questions? Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks, Bobby. Kimberly, or Kathy, do you need a thumbnail? Do you get a chance to choose what goes on the YouTube replay?
As far as how it looks, the visual.
Yeah, the thumbnail or what we were
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
Okay,
if
good.
you have a good one, sure.
No, you. Oh, well, I mean that's something we can work on. You picked some good ones already. I know they only give you a few on Rumble. Also, everybody, it's not. I don't throw any stones at any of the platforms. It can be argued that they have a job to do, they have a business to run, a business model. They don't have time for any sensitivities, all that great stuff. But it's not good to be censored. So we just kind of go with it. We're that resilient in that way. So I'm not throttling, not using YouTube or any other platform or even Google. It should be that we welcome maximum exposure in any way. And if we get censored, well, I mean, that's a different story. We haven't been yet. So like Facebook or Instagram, if you guys want to share that, definitely do that. I got one more, that reminds me, I got one more screen share. Go back to the thing here. I think if I screen share all the way, just so you guys know, then I can minimize. Yep, I can see it happening over here. Get a screen share. So with that said, as far as the multiple platforms and our liaisons or our readers and supporters, you want to get familiar with the only two site presence that we have. We are branched out on other alternative networking platforms, but as far as our paid URL presence, it's between the website itself and our blog station. But now, and from this point forward, if you go to the articles section, and it's a little bit of a pain to go back through, although we have, I don't know, 50 or so articles. But from this point forward, if you go to any article, starting with this one, at the bottom of each article, you'll have a way to share through these conduits. Now, like I say, I haven't used, you can find me on Facebook, but I haven't used it for 2 years, and I honestly don't miss it. I don't use Twitter. I think I've tried to use it once for like 20 minutes and then I stopped. Here's your email client. I do like LinkedIn. I favor that tremendously. LinkedIn is the professional version of what Facebook could ever strive to be, but isn't. I'm neither here nor there on Pinterest. Reddit is, if you have proper etiquette, Reddit is a great portal as well. LinkedIn is top dog. Blogger is a Google platform. It's great. I like it a lot. I don't use Skype so much, but again, so I'm just showing you these different ways. Now you can share if you use any of those platforms and others. This is for our foreign assembly participants. A lot of these I don't recognize, but if you want to add them, if you use any of these, and they're adding more each day. My plugin company. But if you use any of these, go ahead and use that, or use the ones that seem to be the most popular, which is what's on the front screen. And then you can share directly, with artwork and everything. Okay, so that's that. All right, we stop. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Thank you, Joe. I'm sorry, I had two more quick questions, and I'm sorry we're at the top of the hour. I'll be quick, and if you don't want to answer them now, you can get back next week or in an email. But I'm curious with regard to setting up emails. Is there going to be anything that liaisons would have an extension on an email that would be the PKTF .org or somehow, and with that, or even separately, if I'm doing anything where I'm attempting to represent the PKTF with all of this, am I allowed to use the logo? Or is that something that you guys, have particular, what are the
Right.
rules? Well, what are the rules,
We-
please? Thank you.
We can work towards that, and that would be something that would be finalized during the interview process. And the interview process, as it would go, is the enrollment form. Then we would set up an initial interview, go to the Continental Marshals, submit the background check portion of all of that great stuff. And then we can talk about other credentials that can be offered to the liaisons when their final onboarding or final interview takes place. It's a great question, by the way. So yes, letter goes, yes, that's kind of Louise's area, but we can talk about that too. We're handing it to you, Louise. I know you're working with the fiduciary office on all that stuff, which is painful, but that's why we need a secretary. So again, that's another thing. Liaisons, go back. Foreign assemblies, go back to your assemblies and mimic whatever you know, but just know that the Continental United States, the Peacekeeping Task Force for the United States of America Incorporated, we need an executive secretary. If anybody's even remotely interested, you can reach out to myself, Kathy, or Louise. And we just keep moving forward that way. All right, we're 1 minute past. We're trying to be punctual. Is that good? Are we good? We were 5 minutes late.
we're good.
Start purposely so we can go. If anybody needs to leave, go ahead. But we can stay for four more minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions. You're welcome, Kimberly.
Thanks, guys, for having me here tonight.
Thanks for your
Our
information.
pleasure, Chief Bobby. Thank you for everything. Looking forward to working with you soon. Closer.
Well, have a great evening, everyone. I'm going to drop.
All right. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, this is
All right,
Rich
yes,
on
sir.
Illinois. I'd like
Yes.
to say thank you again for everything. Lots of information to look at tonight, and lots of opportunities for me to look and research and stuff through the blog, the news, and the other training videos that I've got to catch up on. Very interested in getting more involved. Got to take it a little slowly. I do have a vetting call this week on joining the outreach and the education committees in my General Assembly also. So I want to see just exactly how involved we can get with that stuff before I really take on a whole lot more. But I've got lots of research to do, and I look forward to you guys' next meeting. I'm sure I'll be here to join in. Thank you
All right,
again.
Rich. Perfect. Perfect.
Have a
Illinois,
good
I
night.
kind of have a special place in Illinois. Hey, Rich, before you hang up, do you know where the YouTube channel is?
I put it in the chat.
Okay.
I wrote down, I believe I wrote down the address. If not, let me go back through the chat real quick and I'll write it back down. I'm on my phone and I'm not real tech savvy, so I don't want to push
Well,
something
right.
to get disconnected.
Well, right. And for everybody to embrace, to have the opportunity to just dive in when you can, just know there's that we use. And that's the PKTF. And you find it, you'll stumble across a wonderful amount of interesting places to go. And that's your world. That is, as liaisons, in particular, that's where you reach out to us at the company and management level, reach out to each other that way. Feel free to comment. We absolutely encourage comments on our blog, all that great stuff. It's a little bit troubling, and I got to tell you, everybody, so you know, a lot of questions that are, at least for me, are sent through email. And I just find that kind of disappointing because it can be asked on our blog. Then everybody gets a chance to appreciate the question and the answer. So by all means, use the comment section as much as possible. First and foremost, that benefits everybody that way. Okay. All right, great. Thanks, Richard and Rich and Mark, everybody else, Kenny, Cheryl, Roger, Louise, Kathy, Bobby. You guys are awesome. We have a meeting that we have to attend after this. So Kathy, if you can send a separate link, I guess that's how you do it.
Well, just don't hang up. We'll stay here. We'll wait till everybody goes. Unless
Well, will it be,
no one goes.
will it be attached to the training though, if we do that?
I'm gonna stop the recording right now.
Oh, okay. All right then. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
We'll see you
you.
in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.